Have you ever wondered why some women barely lift a finger and men can't stop thinking about them, while others try so hard only to feel ignored, overlooked, or taken for granted? If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right but still not getting the attention, respect, or consistency you deserve, this video is about to flip that entire dynamic on its head. Because there's a secret that the smartest, most magnetic women understand, something that makes a man's curiosity spike, his attraction intensify, and his effort rise without her chasing, convincing, or performing. And no, it's not playing games, pretending to be busy, or acting like someone you're not. It's something much deeper, something that shifts the power back into your hands and changes the way men see you instantly. Right now, you might think men lose interest because you're not pretty enough, not interesting enough, or not low maintenance enough. But the truth is far more empowering. Men chase women who activate a very specific emotional experience. And when you know how to create that feeling effortlessly, everything becomes easier. He calls more, he plans more, he invests more, and he sees you as someone he doesn't want to lose. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the one thing smart women do differently, the subtle shift in behavior that turns "why doesn't he treat me like I matter" into "why is he suddenly trying so hard." So stay with me, because once you understand this, you'll never approach dating the same way again. You'll stop chasing and start attracting. Everything begins with this one secret smart women never ignore. Most women think men pursue because of looks, charm, timing, or chemistry. But that's not actually what drives a man's instinct to chase. Attraction might spark his interest, but pursuit is driven by something deeper, something far more primal, the desire to earn a woman who feels valuable, centered, and selective. When a man feels he has to show up for a woman, not because she demands it, but because who she is naturally inspires it, that's when the pursuit begins. What most people never realize is that men are wired to move toward what feels meaningful and to withdraw from what feels too available or too uncertain. The pursuit instinct activates when a man senses he could gain something worthwhile, but only if he puts in consistent effort. When he feels that balance of possibility and challenge, he becomes more emotionally invested. Not because she plays games, but because the energy she holds tells him, if you want space in my life, you need to earn it. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means being grounded enough in your own identity that you don't rush to fill every silence, fix every miscommunication, or prove your worth. Men feel the difference immediately. A woman who overextends makes a man passive. A woman who stands in her value makes a man purposeful. Men also pursue when they feel emotionally safe, not in the sense of comfort, but in the sense of clarity. When your boundaries are easy to understand, when your communication is calm and direct, when you don't reward disrespect or inconsistency, a man recognizes that he can't coast. He either steps up or steps aside, and whether he realizes it consciously or not, that structure earns his respect. Respect fuels effort. Another thing that shapes male pursuit is the way you respond to him. When a woman acknowledges effort but doesn't cling to it, when she appreciates without becoming dependent, when she stays warm but not over-invested, it creates the perfect environment for a man's pursuit to grow naturally. He wants more of the connection because he knows it's not guaranteed without him continually showing up. At the deepest level, men chase the experience of earning a woman who knows her worth. Not a woman who is perfect, not a woman who pretends she doesn't care, but a woman whose presence makes him want to bring his best forward. When you look at women who effortlessly inspire men to pursue them, it's easy to assume they're doing something complicated. Some secret technique, some strategy, some psychological trick. But in reality, the one thing they do differently is surprisingly simple, yet unbelievably powerful. They do not negotiate their value. And this isn't about being arrogant, demanding, or emotionally closed off. It's about a deep internal stance. They show up in relationships with the quiet belief that their time, their presence, and their emotional availability are not things a man is entitled to. They're things a man must earn through consistent action. This single mindset changes everything. Women who embody this don't rush to prove themselves. They don't over-explain. They don't justify why they deserve effort. They don't try to convince a man that they're worth choosing. They simply live in a way that reflects self-worth. And a man naturally steps into pursuit because he senses he has to rise to meet her, not the other way around. One of the biggest differences is how these women respond to inconsistency. When a man pulls back, they don't chase. When he gets lazy, they don't beg. When he's uncertain, they don't collapse into anxiety. Instead, they allow space. They let his behavior reveal his intentions. They understand that pursuit cannot be forced, and trying to force it only weakens the attraction. Another thing these women do differently is they maintain their standards without turning them into ultimatums. Their standards aren't threats, they're simply guidelines for how they live. If a man can meet them, great. If he doesn't, she moves accordingly. Not dramatically, not angrily, but naturally. Because her life doesn't stop when a man becomes inconsistent. Her identity isn't anchored in his validation. Smart women also keep emotional balance. They feel their attraction, they enjoy interest, but they don't let those feelings override their clarity. They don't give boyfriend-level access to a man who's offering casual-level effort. They don't emotionally invest faster than he shows commitment through action. They don't assume potential means promise. They pace themselves. They move with him, not ahead of him. Men feel this difference instantly. A woman like this is attractive, not because she's trying to be, but because she naturally creates a sense of gravity. Her life is full, her energy is grounded, and her attention is selective. She sends the message, if you want me, you're welcome here, but only if you come correct. Not through words, but through how she carries herself. And here's the part most people miss. When a man senses that he must earn a woman's access, appreciation, time, and deeper vulnerability, he becomes more intentional. He invests more. He plans more. He shows up more fully, not because she asked him to, but because he wants to. The one thing smart women do differently is this: they center themselves, not the man. They value themselves, not the outcome, and they never abandon their worth for attention. This is what inspires men to chase with genuine effort. Communication is one of the most underestimated forces in attraction. Most people think chemistry is created through appearance, flirting, or shared interests. But true, lasting attraction, the kind that makes a man feel drawn in, curious, and invested, comes from the way a woman communicates her thoughts, her boundaries, and her emotions. The right communication doesn't just express who she is, it shapes how he experiences her. Attraction deepens when communication feels natural, calm, and confident. When a woman speaks without rushing, without trying to fill every pause, and without scrambling to impress, a man is able to feel her presence. Men are highly responsive to emotional energy. If she communicates with groundedness, he reads it as confidence. If she communicates with pressure or anxiety, he reads it as neediness, even when her words are perfectly polite. Smart women use communication not to persuade a man to choose them, but to communicate their truth in a way that feels warm and self-assured. They share their thoughts directly, without dramatizing and without sugarcoating. They say what they mean and mean what they say. This clarity is magnetic because it eliminates confusion, which is one of the biggest killers of attraction. One of the most powerful parts of communication is the way a woman expresses boundaries, not with lectures, ultimatums, or frustration, but with simple clarity. Instead of saying, "You can't treat me like that," she might say something like, "That doesn't work for me, but I appreciate you reaching out." Soft tone, firm direction. Men find this combination incredibly compelling because it communicates respect for herself and maturity toward him. Another form of attractive communication is giving a man space to speak. Smart women listen more than they talk in the beginning, not because they're passive, but because they want to see who he truly is. When she listens with genuine curiosity, rather than trying to impress him, he feels seen instead of evaluated. That builds connection. And when she responds, she does so in a way that adds value to the conversation. She asks thoughtful questions, she shares insights, and she communicates with depth instead of trying to perform. Men are drawn to women who bring emotional richness without emotional chaos. Tone also plays a massive role in attraction. A woman who communicates with warmth, even when she's being firm, becomes unforgettable. Warmth is not neediness, it's emotional openness, and firmness is not coldness, it's self-respect. When a woman can blend these two, the connection feels safe and exciting at the same time. Finally, communication creates attraction by revealing standards without directly stating them. A woman who says, "Let me know when you plan something," "I'd love to see effort" is far more attractive than one who complains about his inconsistency. She communicates desire and value simultaneously. This guides a man toward better behavior instead of pushing him away. In the end, truly attractive communication is simple. Be honest, be warm, be clear, and speak from self-worth rather than fear. When communication feels grounded and intentional, a man doesn't just hear her, he feels her. And that feeling is what keeps him pursuing. One of the most important parts of inspiring genuine pursuit is understanding the subtle behaviors that unintentionally lower your value in a man's eyes. These behaviors often come from good intentions, caring, honesty, effort, but when expressed in the wrong way or at the wrong time, they create the opposite effect. Instead of drawing him in, they make him pull away. Attraction isn't just about what you do right, it's also about avoiding the patterns that quietly drain your self-worth and signal a lack of boundaries. One of the most common value-lowering behaviors is over-explaining. When a woman feels the need to justify why she feels what she feels or why she expects what she expects, she communicates insecurity even without meaning to. Men respect clarity, not justification. When you explain yourself excessively, you're not actually becoming understood. You're teaching him that your boundaries are negotiable. Another behavior that lowers your value is initiating too much or trying too hard to sustain momentum. Always texting first, always being available, always trying to keep things going. These actions unintentionally shift the dynamic. They make you the pursuer, which removes the challenge and curiosity that fuel male pursuit. A man invests more when he feels your energy is balanced, not when he feels you're doing the emotional heavy lifting. Then there's accepting inconsistency. When a man gives bare minimum effort but a woman continues showing up with maximum energy, she trains him to believe that he can offer less and still receive more. Every time she accepts crumbs, she teaches him that full effort is optional. Men don't rise to expectations that aren't upheld. Another subtle value-lowering behavior is rewarding poor behavior with emotional closeness. When a man disappears, pulls back, or acts dismissive, and a woman responds by becoming sweeter, more accommodating, or more available, she signals that disrespect equals access. This creates a cycle where he only puts in effort when it's convenient because he knows she will emotionally compensate for his lack of effort. Oversharing too soon also lowers your perceived value. Vulnerability is powerful when earned, but overwhelming when given without any foundation. When a woman opens up too deeply before a man has proven reliability, she creates a false sense of intimacy that he hasn't invested into. Men value what they work for, not what's handed to them prematurely. Another behavior is trying to be low maintenance to gain approval. When a woman suppresses her needs, pretends she's okay with anything, or avoids expressing her preferences just to seem easygoing, she loses her sense of identity. Men may enjoy it temporarily, but they don't respect it long-term. A woman who has no standards cannot inspire effort. Finally, ignoring red flags lowers value more than anything else. When a man sees that a woman tolerates disrespect, inconsistency, or unclear intentions, he stops seeing her as someone he needs to impress. He begins viewing her as someone available by default. The truth is simple: your value isn't lowered by being emotional, affectionate, or interested. It's lowered by abandoning yourself to receive connection. When you hold your standards, your dignity, and your emotional balance, a man doesn't just see your value, he rises to meet it. Feminine confidence is one of the most magnetic forces a woman can embody. It's not loud, it's not performative, and it's not about proving anything. Instead, it's a quiet, grounded certainty, a way of moving through the world that signals, I know who I am, I know what I bring, and I don't need external validation to confirm it. This kind of confidence draws men in naturally, because it creates an energy that feels inviting yet unattainable, warm yet self-contained. What makes feminine confidence so attractive is its balance. It blends strength with softness, presence with independence, and vulnerability with discernment. A woman rooted in feminine confidence doesn't try to dominate or control. She influences simply by being deeply connected to herself. Men feel this difference immediately. It gives them space to lead, contribute, and invest, while still sensing that she is her own source of stability. One of the most compelling aspects of feminine confidence is how it shapes a woman's emotional expression. Instead of hiding her feelings or overreacting to them, she acknowledges them with grace. She can say, "I felt hurt by that," without collapsing into insecurity. She can express desire without losing her sense of self. She can show affection without clinging. Her emotions don't overwhelm her, or the connection. They guide it with honesty and poise. Another component of feminine confidence is the ability to receive. Many women think confidence means doing everything themselves or never showing vulnerability. But true confidence allows a woman to receive love, help, consideration, and effort without guilt or defensiveness. When a woman receives with openness, a man feels purposeful. He feels that his efforts matter. This activates his natural desire to provide, protect, and invest emotionally. Feminine confidence also shows up in how a woman chooses her boundaries. She doesn't set them out of fear or anger, but out of self-respect. If something doesn't feel right, she communicates it calmly. If a man behaves in a way that doesn't align with her standards, she distances herself with dignity, not drama. Men are deeply drawn to this kind of composure. It tells them she is secure in her worth and unwilling to shrink herself to fit their inconsistencies. Another powerful trait is her sense of purpose outside of romance. A woman who has passions, friendships, goals, and interests creates a life that a man wants to be part of, not the center of. Her world doesn't orbit around his presence or absence. This autonomy doesn't push him away. It makes him lean in because he senses that she is full, not dependent. And finally, feminine confidence is found in the way she carries herself. Her posture, tone, eye contact, and pacing all reflect an inner steadiness. She doesn't rush. She doesn't chase. She doesn't force connection. She allows things to unfold while staying aligned with her values. This kind of feminine confidence isn't about appearance. It's an atmosphere, a feeling, a magnetic pull that invites a man to rise, pursue, and commit, because he senses he is dealing with a woman who knows her worth and lives it effortlessly. The emotional trigger that men can't resist isn't about manipulation, seduction, or tactics. It's something much simpler, yet far more powerful. It's the feeling of being strategically appreciated. Not over-validated, not worshipped, not endlessly praised, but appreciated in a way that makes him feel seen, significant, and impactful. This emotional experience is incredibly rare for men, and because of that, it becomes unforgettable when they find it. Men are driven by purpose and meaning. They want to feel that their presence brings value to someone they care about. When a woman communicates appreciation at the right moments, in the right tone, and in the right dosage, it activates a deep emotional response inside him. It tells him, "You make a difference, you matter here." And once he feels that, he doesn't just desire the woman, he feels invested in her. This doesn't mean giving him constant praise or boosting his ego. In fact, too much validation can backfire and make him take you for granted. What creates the irresistible trigger is selective appreciation, showing warmth when he genuinely shows effort, thoughtfulness, or consistency. Men crave this because effort is how they express interest, and having that effort acknowledged fuels their instinct to continue. When a woman says things like, "I like the way you take initiative," or "I appreciate you thinking of that," or even something simple like, "That made me feel cared for," she's not complimenting his looks, she's affirming his role. And men bond through their role, far more than through flattery. Another layer of this emotional trigger is that smart women don't appreciate men for minimal effort. They only show appreciation when it's truly earned. This makes him feel like her validation is meaningful, not automatic. Men chase what feels genuine, not what feels guaranteed. If a woman responds warmly, only when he steps up, he subconsciously begins stepping up more often, because the reward feels authentic. There's also an element of emotional polarity in this dynamic. Appreciation delivered with feminine softness, not intensity, not desperation, not expectation, magnifies the effect. A woman who can express appreciation gently creates an emotional atmosphere men find irresistible. It feels soothing but motivating, comforting but inspiring. It draws him closer while simultaneously encouraging him to give more. What many women overlook is that this trigger doesn't require big gestures. It's often the small things, a calm smile when he's thoughtful, a soft thank you when he's attentive, or a light comment acknowledging his effort, that hit the emotional center men rarely access. These micro moments become emotional anchors that he associates with her. And here's the key, men fall hardest for the woman who makes them feel both appreciated and challenged. Appreciation fuels effort, Challenge gives the effort purpose. When a woman combines self-respect with selective warmth, she becomes emotionally unforgettable. This is the emotional trigger he can't resist, feeling that his actions matter, that his effort counts, and that he has a meaningful impact on a woman who values herself, and values him for who he proves himself to be. Getting a man to invest more has nothing to do with pressure, manipulation, or convincing him that you're worth the effort. Real investment comes from creating an emotional environment where he wants to step up, not because he's afraid to lose you, but because he feels inspired when he's around you. Men invest when they feel their effort leads somewhere meaningful, when they see that their actions have value, and when they sense a woman won't overextend herself without reciprocity. One of the most effective ways to encourage greater investment is through balanced responsiveness. This means you respond to his actions, not his potential. When he initiates, you meet him with warmth. When he puts in effort, you show appreciation. When he's consistent, you make space for deeper connection. But when his effort drops, your energy naturally shifts. Not with punishment, silence, or games, but with self-respect. Men quickly learn that with you, effort equals progress. Lack of effort equals distance. That clarity alone inspires greater investment. Another powerful principle is matching, not leading. Many women unknowingly take the lead in the connection, planning dates, initiating conversations, carrying the emotional weight. When a woman does this, a man becomes passive because he doesn't feel needed or purposeful. When you match instead of lead, you allow him the space to take initiative. If he's moving slowly, you mirror that pace. If he picks up effort, you mirror that as well. This approach encourages him to take ownership of the connection. Men also invest more when a woman has a full, vibrant life outside of him. When your happiness, schedule, and emotional fulfillment don't revolve around him, he instinctively sees you as higher value. He realizes he must step up if he wants to be part of your world consistently. Your independence makes the time you share more meaningful because he knows you're choosing him, not clinging to him. Another essential factor is clear preferences instead of pressure. Instead of saying, "You never plan anything," a confident woman says, "I enjoy when a man takes the lead on planning. It helps me relax into the connection." This communicates desire without criticism. Men respond far better to positive direction than to complaints. The moment a man understands what makes you feel good and sees you respond warmly when he does it, his investment increases naturally. Encouraging investment is also about not overgiving. When you give too much too soon, you remove the space for him to invest. Men value what they pour effort into. If everything is freely given, from emotional availability to time to support, he doesn't feel the same pull to contribute. When your giving is paced and aligned with his level of investment, he instinctively steps up to meet you. Ultimately, a man invests more when a woman's energy communicates, "I'm open to connection, but I will not carry this alone." This blend of warmth, boundaries, and self-respect is the formula that makes him show up, not out of obligation, but out of genuine desire. Maintaining high-value energy isn't about constantly presenting yourself as perfect or putting on a performance to impress someone. It's about staying connected to who you are, honoring your emotional needs, and carrying yourself in a way that communicates self-respect at all times. High-value energy is a state of inner alignment, and when you live from that place, it naturally shapes the way people treat you, especially men. One of the foundations of maintaining this energy is emotional consistency. High-value women don't allow someone else's behavior to dictate their mood or sense of self. If a man is attentive, she appreciates it. If he pulls back, she doesn't panic or chase. She simply adjusts. She doesn't swing between extremes because her emotional stability comes from within, not from his actions. This steadiness makes her presence feel calming and magnetic. High-value energy also shows up in how you protect your time and energy. When you're selective about who gets access to you, it signals that your life is full and meaningful. You don't cancel plans for a last-minute invitation. You don't rearrange your schedule to accommodate someone who hasn't earned that level of priority. You don't overextend just to appear agreeable. You move with intention, not impulse. Another key element is staying connected to your personal life, passions, and growth. When your world is rich outside of romance, you create natural balance. A man becomes part of your life, not the foundation of it. This keeps you from clinging or over-investing prematurely. Men are especially drawn to women who have direction, goals, and a sense of purpose beyond the relationship. It creates an energy of abundance rather than need. Maintaining high-value energy also requires self-correction, meaning noticing when you start slipping into old patterns, overgiving, overthinking, or over-explaining, and gently bringing yourself back to center. You become a woman who responds instead of reacts. You communicate instead of proving. You choose standards over fear. Lastly, high-value energy is reinforced through the way you receive treatment. You don't need to argue for respect or beg for consistency. You simply allow behavior to reveal truth. If a man shows up with effort and intention, you welcome it. If he doesn't, you step back. Not to punish him, but to honor yourself. This kind of energy doesn't demand value, it embodies it. And because of that, men feel compelled to treat you with more care, more intention, and more seriousness. Because your energy shows them exactly how you deserve to be loved. The final most important principle in creating lasting attraction is simple but often overlooked. Inspire, don't chase. Many women mistakenly believe that the way to secure a man's attention is through relentless effort, constant validation, or adjusting themselves to meet his whims. The truth is the opposite. Men are most drawn to women who carry their own worth, create their own fulfillment, and invite pursuit rather than demanding it. Chasing communicates neediness, scarcity, and insecurity. Inspiring communicates confidence, abundance, and self-respect. To inspire rather than chase, a woman first has to center herself around her own life, goals, and passions. A man should feel like a guest in her vibrant, fulfilling world, not the reason it exists. When a woman's energy is grounded in herself, it naturally draws a man closer because he senses that connection with her is valuable, meaningful, and not guaranteed. He begins to want to contribute, participate, and show up because being part of her life feels like a privilege, not an obligation. Inspiration also comes from consistent boundaries and standards. A woman who allows disrespect, inconsistency, or half-hearted effort teaches a man that chasing is unnecessary. Conversely, when she clearly communicates her expectations and maintains them without drama, she inspires him to rise to the occasion. Boundaries are not barriers, they are signals of self-worth that encourage a man to invest intentionally rather than casually. Another way to inspire is through selective responsiveness and emotional presence. When a woman engages with warmth, appreciation, and attentiveness, but only when he earns it, she creates an emotional rhythm that stimulates his pursuit instinct. Men naturally lean into the woman whose attention is meaningful, who values herself, and who allows him to contribute in a way that feels earned. Finally, to inspire is to trust the process rather than force outcomes. A woman who chases may temporarily gain attention, but she cannot cultivate deep respect, loyalty, or genuine desire. A woman who inspires, however, creates an environment where a man's pursuit is voluntary, authentic, and sustained. He invests not out of fear of losing her, but because he wants to be a part of her world. The ultimate takeaway is this: the key to attracting the right man isn't effort, pleading, or chasing. It's cultivating your own energy, living by your standards, and allowing a man to pursue you naturally. When you inspire, you don't just capture his attention, you ignite his desire, commitment, and respect. Pursuit becomes a choice he wants to make, over and over again, because being with you feels meaningful, rewarding, and unforgettable. As we wrap up, remember that attracting a man who truly values you isn't about tricks, manipulation, or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about cultivating your inner worth, setting clear standards, and allowing pursuit to happen naturally. Everything we've discussed, from understanding male psychology to maintaining high-value energy, is designed to help you step into a version of yourself that inspires, rather than chases. The transformation begins internally, and the way a man responds is a reflection of the energy you project. Your next steps are simple, but they require consistency and self-awareness. First, focus on clarifying your boundaries and non-negotiables. Know what you will accept, what you won't, and what behaviors signal a lack of alignment. Men are naturally drawn to women who hold themselves with dignity and expect effort without drama. Second, observe your own communication and responses. Are you over-explaining, over-giving, or over-initiating? Start to adjust your energy to reflect calm confidence, selective warmth, and appreciation that is earned rather than automatic. This subtle shift can completely change the way men perceive and pursue you. Third, stay connected to your life, passions, and purpose. Your fulfillment should never be dependent on someone else. A man is more likely to invest when he sees that your happiness and growth are not contingent upon him, but he is invited to be a part of your vibrant, independent world. Finally, commit to consistent self-reflection and self-respect. Every interaction is an opportunity to reinforce your value, test your boundaries, and adjust your energy. Over time, these practices will create a magnetic pull that makes the right man naturally want to invest, pursue, and commit. Remember, the goal isn't to chase, it's to inspire, maintain your standards, and let him choose to show up fully. Start implementing these steps today, and watch as your relationships shift from uncertainty and effort to alignment, respect, and mutual desire.